So 100 years of Detroit hockey, the Centennial season. We call this a hot stove because we've got so many stories to tell. You used to sit around the hot stove in the old days and just tell the hockey stories. And with Chris Draper, Steve Yzerman, my broadcast partner for coming on a 29th season, Mickey Redmond. So under the contract, I have to start with Mickey. It's just how it goes. So your thoughts when you think...
I'm the oldest.
that you are. Your thought of 100 years, the Centennial season of hockey in Detroit. What comes to mind?
Well, I think what comes to mind is the original six, of course. They don't make them anymore. We're one of six, and it's always been very special for me after settling in here, coming from Montreal. It's just really special to be in that number six and have the history that we have going way back to 100 years ago, and be still kicking today. So it's a big deal.
Steve, been around here a long time. Your thoughts of whether it be Cougars, Falcons, Red Wings, most importantly.
Yeah, well, I don't remember the Cougars or the Falcons, but my kind of first experience with the Red Wings was, I think it was 77 playoffs, when they'd been out of the playoffs for a while. And growing up in Canada, you only got games, Hockey Night in Canada, every Saturday night. So you didn't get a chance to see the Red Wings much, but got a chance to watch them play. Was it Atlanta in the first round, maybe? Atlanta in the first round, out of the Olympia. That was my first experience seeing, I was never in the Olympia Arena, but watching a Red Wing game on TV. With the Octopus in the old Olympia, I was, again, never in the building, but the atmosphere was incredible. And then I think I won that round and then moved on, I think, to play the Canadians in round two, or was vice versa, I can't remember.
That was a 2 out of 3 series, yeah. I believe, against the Atlanta.
Yeah, really exciting. So that was my first experience with the Red Wings, and I think that was right around 77.
Chris?
I mean, for me, just the thought of the greatness and the Hall of Famers that have put the winged wheel on, and been fortunate to play with, obviously, a lot of them. But I remember the first time being at Joe Louis Arena, and I was coming in for a workout on an off day, and I saw Ted Lindsay in the gym, and he was doing his little wrist curl machine, and I was just in awe of having the opportunity to talk to Ted and see him, and to me, that just kind of, you just realize the greatness that, this organization has had. And for the 100 years, it's just to be able to be a part of it, to play with a lot of those players. And then obviously the first time that I met Gordy was just overwhelming as well. What they've done for not only the Detroit Red Wings and obviously the city and the organization, but for the game of hockey. And that was something that meant a lot to me. And just to be able to be around those guys, watching the way they carried themselves, how they interacted with people, with fans, and that was something that definitely lasted, a lifetime for me.
Yeah, and Steve, to have Gordy and Ted, you walk into the room at the Joe, and there they are. What did you think of that?
Oh, again, while it was they're great role models for us. These guys have won multiple Stanley Cups, Hall of Fame players, and they treated, as you know, they treated everybody equally. They were very humble. Always took time to spend a few minutes with you. After a game, you mentioned those two guys, but also Sid Abel was doing the radio for us, and you get on a bus after the game and walk on. He always had a few kind words to say about the game, maybe a few pointers here and there. So, as Chris said, you walk into Joe Louis Arena back then, you might bump into Gordy in the hallway, and he'd bump in you, give you an elbow or a little jab. And Ted was always in the gym working out, better shape than I was ever. He was 60, I was 18. And and Alex around, quiet, humble guy, you get a chance. So it just, very fortunate playing in original Six City, but to see the former greats there was inspirational, but also really educational for all of us young guys.
And to think they saw them in the room, you saw them because you played with them on the ice. Alex, Gordy, what was that like?
Well, I got to spend the last little bit with Gordy here, which was very special. I mean, you come from Montreal, and with Cornwall and Beliveau and Henry Richard won 11 Stanley Cups, and then I come to Detroit, and you've got Alex and Gordy and Bergman and Libet and the guys and Roy Edwards. So I was very fortunate to be in the middle of all of these guys that all were going to the Hall of Fame eventually anyway. But it was even the 1 year I spent with Gordie here, and we spent private time on the ice after practice, just he and I, talking about goal scoring and shooting and stuff like that. Priceless moments that I'll never forget. And Alex was, for I think my first year that I had scored 50 goals, Alex was my centerman. And he had a great backhand. I'm on the right side, and it was on his forehand. So he was setting me up whenever and off the end boards at Olympia. Those were good days.
Actually, and Gordie taught you how to find a corner, didn't he, on where a goalie's looking and where you position your stick?
Well, it was interesting, yeah, because we're both right-handers, and we're sitting in front of the net, and but the hash marks, and he said, "What do you we got a puck and there's a goalie, and what do you see over there?" I said, "Well, maybe 12 inches or so, maybe 10." And he said, "Hang on to the knob of your stick and walk over behind the puck and the blade. Now what do you see?" I said, "Holy mackerel, there's 18 inches over here." He goes, "You put it there, they're not going to stop it." It was unbelievable. I said, "Wow, how about that?" I mean, coming from him.
Mick, I could have used that tip about 20 years ago.
I have.
Yeah.
I've used it with the kids today, to this very day. It's like, you just didn't know. It's like the puck is actually your eyes, not yours, It's like, wow, been pretty cool stuff. Coming from him. He scored a few. Anyway, yeah, it was very special to be with those guys.
Listen, I've been watching the same commercials as you have for decades, and you know what? They're all true. Bernsteins absolutely care as much about you as they do about me. Get the Bernstein advantage. 1-800-CALL-SAM.
Love slots? The DraftKings Casino app's got you covered. They got tons of slots to choose from. All these options, I feel like a slot machine. Come to Papa.
New players play $5 and get 500 spins on Cash Eruption slots, plus a first day replay up to 1,000 in credits.
We're all just trying to keep things running for those who rely on us.
Hey!
That's why we don't have time to be sick with the flu. And especially this year, no one has time to get sick. Get a flu shot for yourself and those around you too.
My name's Stacy, I'm 57, and I was adopted in 2020.
We were adopted in 2019.
And we were adopted in 2021.
We had a house, and it sounds crazy, but it wasn't a home. The one thing that Jake and Emma brought is it became a home.
When I met Dakota, he had just turned 14.
You weren't there for the first this and the first that. I missed the first words, but we got a lot of other firsts.
Watching her say, "Oh my God, I cannot believe I got my license." And she's like, "I passed." And I'm like, girl.
See them grow. It is...
They chose to love us. They didn't have to. They chose us. Family.
You and you.
Kids in the middle.
What I thought was a complete life was nowhere near complete, but it is now.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
You know that feeling when you step out onto a trail and you have no idea what's around the next bend? Bye, buddy. That's my favorite part.
Woo! Unbelievable.
I've hiked a lot of trails, met a lot of amazing people, and learned one thing. That's that adventure isn't just about the miles, it's about the moments.
Cut that, please.
Don't cut that.
Turns out, are we there yet is the wrong question. The real question is, how did we get here?
What is there to say? This is breathtaking.
Catch it all on Epic Trails.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. That's what Bernstein means to me.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
That's what Bernstein means to me.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
4th overall in 1983. Did you talk to Jimmy D before? I know now you have conversations and combines, etc. What was it like then at the time? And did you think, I know the LaFontaine, you right in there, but what were your thoughts prior to the draft?
Yeah, well, Jimmy D had, I met he and Neil Smith at the time. The Memorial Cup was in Portland, Oregon. And I went out, my agent at the time, Gus Badal, flew me out to Portland. That was the first time I met Jimmy D, and I think Neil was there as well. And then prior to the draft in June, there was no combine or anything at that point. You didn't see all the lists, and there was one list that was Central Scouting, and they didn't share that publicly. Mick, you might remember Bob Tyndall, his old Boston Bruins scout, a friend of Jimmy D's, Peterborough guy, I think, too, as well. Anyway, he drove me to Detroit, and there was, I think, myself and maybe a couple other young players during that week that came in. They brought in, it was the only team that brought me into their city, had dinner with Jimmy D. I think he took me to a ball game, went to Carl's Chop House, did a little bit of fitness testing in the old gym there with the old Universal machine, and off I went. And Jimmy said, look, we have the 4th pick in the draft. We have you rated as the 4th highest paid player, and the highest paid player there is who we're going to take. And Patty LaFontaine went 3, Sylvain Turgeon went 2, Brian Lawton went 1, and so I got picked by the Red Wings.
Would you afforded yourself a wish list at all, or did you just want to play hockey?
Yeah, I was thrilled to get drafted, honestly. I had no idea. I was a big Islander fan at the time. They were picking 3rd, but had no inclination that I would be picked there. And actually, Jimmy D, again, not knowing much about the Red Wings, but when I left, they handed me the old media guide, and I was able to, drive home. And the more I read into the history of the Red Wings, all the players that played there, the Stanley Cups, the more intriguing it was. And then in Montreal, the draft was that year. It was announced by the Red Wings. It was pretty exciting, and I was really looking forward to the opportunity.
And an Islander fan, 19, Brian Trottier, right?
Yeah, exactly. He was, he was, was a Bobby Orr fan. And then the Bruins, growing up in Ottawa for the most part, the Bruins and Montreal were always going head to head. And then Brian Trottier came into the league, and my dad said, watch this guy play. He really knows how to play the game. He's a centerman, and try to do the things that he did. So that's why, I chose number 19 in honor, I guess, of Brian.
You came as an 18-year-old and made the team. You forced them to keep you because you were that good. Did you actually, in your heart of hearts, think, I'm going to make it? Or did you surprise yourself at all?
I had no idea what to expect. I'd skated with one NHL player in my life, and that was in Ottawa. Bobby Smith of the Minnesota North Stars came back to Ottawa a little bit and got on the ice with him, and he was 6'5" or 6'6", and we were just summer hockey. And that was my only experience. I had no idea what to expect. Drove into Detroit, and preseason training camp, every day was a struggle. We scrimmaged a lot. It was 2-a-days, and every day we were trying to play good in the scrimmage. Every preseason game was trying to play well, and I was very fortunate because Jimmy, I think purposely, they moved out a lot of players that year. They literally needed centermen, and so I had a job to lose, so to speak, and I got to play right away on the power play. Nick Plano was our coach, and he just kept throwing me out there, and had Brad Park on the blue line running the power play, who was unreal with the puck and great on the power play, and I got the opportunity to start with, and it went well. But it was Lane Lambert was our 2nd round pick that year. He made the team. There, 2nd round picks don't usually play. Very few of them, very few 1st round picks play. But he and I both played, and they needed players, and we got the opportunity, and they just kept throwing us out there.
Scores 39 goals. 39 goals as a rookie. Back in those days, we don't have those files. That would have been a hell of a rookie year.
Yeah, again, I think I got 42 the year before in Peterborough. I wasn't a big scorer, That was the guys, the big scorers were scoring 70 in junior,
Who would have won the Calder that year?
Tommy Barrasso.
Okay.
Yeah, he was Boston's goal. He was actually the 5th pick in the draft, I think, by Buffalo, and I got a goalie coming out of high school, and he was unreal how good he was. So yeah.
You talk about scoring. You are the answer to a wonderful trivia question. You came for a buck, I know, and all that story from Winnipeg to Detroit. But you, for scoring, give the trivia question and then give your background to it.
Yeah, I'm the only player to score my NHL goal before my American League goal before an OHL goal. And kind of the way, it's actually a really good trivia question. The way that worked is I was drafted by the Winnipeg Jets, and then I was playing with Team Canada. I was playing with the Olympic team. And I went to my first training camp. It was in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And I went out there, and when you talk about having no clue of going to an NHL training camp, here I am, a 3rd round pick. I had absolutely nothing to lose. I was all set to play for the Ottawa 67s, which I was really excited about. And all of a sudden, I just kind of, as training kept going on, they kept playing me in exhibition games. And Bob Murdoch was the coach. And after the preseason, he said, congratulations, you made the team. You're going to be opening on the opening night roster against the Toronto Maple Leafs in Winnipeg, which was obviously an incredible thrill. I couldn't believe that was happening. So sure enough, I went out my first game and I scored. I scored on Jeff Reese, and that was my first NHL goal. And then I kind of got a little carried away. Adrenaline got the best of me, and I ended up fighting Drake Berhowski. And it was actually a pretty good fight, but then everyone fell on me, and I ended up getting a high ankle sprain, and I ended up missing the next 6 weeks of hockey. And then back then you could send a player down to the American Hockey League for 2-week conditioning. So they told me they were going to send me down there. They wanted me to get some games, and sure enough, I went down to Moncton, played down there, and scored in my first game there. Came back to Winnipeg. That didn't last long. They sent me right down to Ottawa, and my first game playing for the Ottawa 67s for the great Brian Kilray, I ended up scoring my first OHL goal, and that's how that trivia has happened. So and it hasn't happened ever since.
We're told in Genesis chapter 1:26 that God has made man in his image, and by his likeness has he made him.
Genesis is a book of fundamental importance for the Jewish and Christian faiths, and a literary masterpiece that has profoundly shaped Western civilization. Now, in this exclusive online course from Hillsdale College, you can deepen your understanding of how this ancient book is essential to you today. Sign up for the Genesis story, absolutely free, at learnfromhillsdale.org. Dr. Justin Jackson, a distinguished Hillsdale College professor, will guide you through this fascinating free online course that unfolds the biblical stories of Adam and Eve, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph. When you sign up, you'll explore some of life's most important questions, gain a greater appreciation for how the Bible confronts pain and hardship with redemption and hope, and discover how the struggles people faced thousands of years ago are deeply relevant to us still today. Take this 6-lesson course whenever it's most convenient for you, at your pace or on your schedule. Signing up is easy and free when you go to learnfromhillsdale.org today.
So the fun thing with the serpent is, how does a serpent talk? And not only that, but why is the serpent's punishment to crawl on its belly when that's what it does?
Join the hundreds of thousands of Americans who are enriching their lives through this exclusive online course from Hillsdale College and gain access to this premium content today.
What I hope you'll get from studying Genesis in this course is a deeper appreciation of the biblical insights with regards to the human person, its psychology, our predilection towards rivalry, but also reconciliation.
Sign up for the Genesis story, free of charge, at learnfromhillsdale.org today.
This month on Breaking Par.
I feel welcomed to Maui. I'm officially in love.
The luau pulled us straight into island tradition.
Why don't we go in and have a drink?
Days here move at whatever pace you choose.
Oh my gosh, there's really no bad shots in Maui anyways, right?
And when it comes to F&B, you're covered in every direction. This is Breaking Par Destinations, Maui. Playing all month long on Breaking Par.
And this man, the first to score 50. Gordy scored 49. You're the first Red Wing to ever score 50, and you did it in back-to-back years. How much did that chase to 50 mean to you at the time?
You know, I never really thought much about it. We were near, maybe a month ago in the season, and I was sitting on, I think, 35 goals. So you don't have a lot of time left so there wasn't a lot of thought. And then we had 4 games in 8 days, and I believe I scored 2 goals in every game. And all of a sudden, I wake up the next day and I'm at 43, and like, whoa, 50's right there. And I mean, there's a lot of goals being scored back then, but it was obviously a special number to get to. Thinking about Gordy, never entered except to think, how unlucky was he? You know, all the goals he scored. And then the story goes that they might have got it, but they gave the goal to Mahavlich when he was here. It was just unfortunate for him, but yeah, it was a special number for sure. To be in that category with a lot of players that, well, this guy's got 5 or 6 now in his career, but it was pretty cool.
50 meant a lot to you too, right? When you got 50.
Yeah, pretty exciting. At one time, yeah, it was. You know, ultimately, you learn over time the individual goals that are kind of irrelevant when you're trying to win Stanley Cups, which was really important. But it was very exciting at the time. I'm sure, like Mick, it becomes a bit of a distraction. You're getting close to that number, and you just want to play. It affects the way you play sometimes. And
I remember Kenny, Danny Grant. I'm not sure if he was the second one to score 50 or not, but I got hurt. I had my back surgery, and Grant was in the dressing room, and I'm rehabbing like Drapes is now with his hip, and Grant said to me, I don't know if I want to get 50. And I said, why wouldn't you? He said, well, because then they're going to want it again. And I go, okay, I get it. But Danny, I said, Danny, you can't not get it. You know, you're sitting on 46, 47. You got to go. You got to get it, because if you do, it's yours for life. You know, it's yours for life, and it's a memory you're going to love. Sure enough, he did get 50 right on. He got hurt and had hip-type surgery like you, Drapes. Never played again the next year. But now he's a trivia question, one of 6 Red Wings to score 50, so yeah.
See, expectations are a marvelous thing, but expectations also drive you. When you came to the NHL, what was your expectation, Chris, of what you could do?
I was just trying to survive. I have to be honest. I was, I went up to Winnipeg. I was actually, a 3rd-round pick. I had some success, in the juniors, and then obviously at World Juniors with Team Canada. And, there was some. I'm kind of looking around and thinking, I think I can play in this league. And obviously with the Winnipeg Jets, it didn't work out, and it was, it was hard. You see some players that you either played with or against, and they're in the NHL, and I was in the minors playing in Moncton, New Brunswick, and my dream was I wanted to play in the National Hockey League. There really wasn't a plan B for me. I was just, I loved the game. I was passionate about the game, and I wanted to be an NHL player. And on draft day in 1993, I ended up getting traded to the Detroit Red Wings for the famous Freddie Charles, future considerations. And I mean, my first reaction was, that's great. I'm going to get a fresh start, but they ended up drafting Keith Primo, and they already had Steve Yzerman and Sergei Fedorov, and Mike Sillinger was a 1st-round pick my year. And I'm like, this is great and all, but there's better centers in Detroit than there is in Winnipeg. How am I going, to make this? But it's probably my first summer where I really got into training. There was a lot of training going on, and I kind of felt, what, if I was going to do something, I was really going to have to outwork the competition. I took a lot of pride in that and came into training camp in really good shape, and that didn't work out very well. I didn't get one exhibition game. I got sent to Adirondack Red Wings right away, and the coach, it's amazing how sometimes it works out. The coach in Adirondack was Newell Brown, and when I was back as a teenager playing for Don Mills Flyers in Toronto, Newell Brown was recruiting me for Michigan State. So we had a little bit of a relationship, and Newell said when I was getting sent down, take a couple days and then, regroup and, let's find that, that Chris Draper that I liked that I was going to bring into Michigan State. And I went down to Adirondack and had an unbelievable start. I think I was over a point per game going into the new year, and this is one of my favorite Scotty Bowman stories. And we were playing in Hamilton, and I had a lot of friends and family that were at that game, and ended up getting a hat trick that game. So I was, pretty excited to see all my friends and family. I had no idea that Brian Murray, Ken Holland, and Scotty Bowman were actually at the game as well. And so I'm sitting there talking to my dad, and Scotty comes over, and I'm thinking, oh, he's going to talk about my 3 goals. This is great. And right away he comes over and he shakes my hand and he goes, do you know how many face-offs you won tonight? And obviously that was a stat they didn't take back then. I said, Scotty, I have no idea. And he said, well, you won 19 of 22. Can you do that in the NHL? I said, yes, I can, Scotty. So then he's like, all right, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And he walks away. And, I was kind of like, see you in a couple of weeks. That means he's coming back to Adirondack to watch me again? Or am I going to go see Scotty in Detroit? And sure enough, on January 24th, 1994, I got called up and played my first game with the Detroit Red Wings, and was never sent back. And it was just a real fortunate break to get called up. And like I said, it was I played one game and went back to my hotel and did the exact same thing the next day, and then it was 2 games, and then it just kind of kept going. And every year I was just, I wasn't sure if I was going to make, the NHL and able to stay in Detroit, and just kept working and ended up, being able to make obviously a career out of it, and very special to be a part of so many great memories with Detroit.
Both you guys have kind of touched on differently than I did about coming into the league. You just said you're trying to survive. I remember going to Montreal, had a lot of Hall of Famers and coming off Stanley Cups. And I was 19, and I'm thinking, Jesus, do I belong here? I don't know if I can play here. I don't know if I'm good enough to play with these guys. These guys are all men. I'm just a kid. But as it turned out, and it seems with you guys as well, as every day goes by and you go, well, maybe dip your toe in the water, maybe a little bit here and there, and finally you go, you know what? I think I can stay here. I think I can be part of this group, which is I found that very interesting. Called my dad, I remember, in a hotel room with tears in my eyes, thinking, he said, come home, I got your lunch bucket, I got your hard hat, no problem, just come home to Peterborough. But he said, if you want to stay there, you better use that thing in your hand and straighten somebody out and let them know you want to play.
That was in Nova Scotia, right? You were playing in Nova Scotia for the Voyageurs?
The Voyageurs, yeah.
In today's NHL, they would be a playoff team, that team you were on.
Oh, yeah. Well, I ended up in Houston for my first 7. Well, I started in Montreal. They had a team in the Central League, too, the Houston Apollos.
Which was a really good league,
the wrong place to be for young guys down in Houston, Texas. Oh, my God. In the 70s or 60s? And
maybe not.
They got rid of that because it was too far away. They couldn't watch it.
Yeah.
But, that was very interesting back in the day. It was interesting because I think Dallas was Chicago. Houston was Montreal. Fort Worth was the Red Wings. The Rangers had Axar-Ben Arena. I can't believe I remember that name. Wow. Where the hell was that? I forget where that was. But every original 16.
Axar-Ben is Nebraska.
There you go.
Backwards.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. That was a Ranger farm team.
A little trivia for everyone. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Toronto had Tulsa. All those guys went to Tulsa. Oh my God.
Right, when Jim McKinney was having so much fun down there, he didn't want to come back up. He said, no, I don't want to come. I'll stay right here.
Most hiring algorithms would scream me out.
Some bosses couldn't see me as a leader.
I've run this place for 20 years, but I still need to prove that I'm more than what you see on paper.
I've been running code as long as I've been able to reach a keyboard.
This is what I do. It's second nature for me, coordinating 100 details at once.
It's the way my mind works. I have a very mechanical brain.
I sold them on my skills.
You gotta be so good they can't ignore you.
My magic is
analytics and empathy. That's how I'm getting clients. You have to have the confidence in yourself to show up and defy the odds.
I'm more than who I am on paper.
I never got a college degree. And today, I'm the CEO of my own company. People want to tell me I'm 1 in a million, when actually I'm one of millions. The stars are all around us. It's time for them to shine.
You know that feeling when you step out onto a trail and you have no idea what's around the next bend? Bye, buddy. That's my favorite part.
Woo! Unbelievable.
I've hiked a lot of trails, met a lot of amazing people, and learned one thing. That's that adventure isn't just about the miles, it's about the moments.